Hey friends, welcome to Stag and Pennies. Core of the Joy alongside Ryan Flores here. Big show coming up, breaking down all things Texas. Michael McDowell joins us in the Nonsense Garage. It's going to be an awesome show. We have a great conversation with him breaking down Texas as well as that 71 car season. All that and more coming up on Stag and Pennies.
Stacking them deep, selling them cheap.
It tastes like gasoline, rubber, and victory.
We're just out here stagging pennies.
And we're in it. Hey friends, hope your weekend was fantastic. How was your weekend, buddy?
It was good. It was good. Got rained out of Bowman Gray.
Did you go up there?
Got like halfway up there. Had a big into softball right now.
Yeah.
My kid's 7 years old. She plays competitive softball, so we had.
Hey, got to give it to you though. It wasn't long ago when you would have said, screw that softball game, I'm going to go practice my modified. But no, you actually had James Savali, shout out Rocket Launcher, for driving that thing in practice.
Yeah, he did good. So they went up there, practiced. They practiced from 10 to noon at Bowman Gray, so I didn't get to make that. And I was on my way up there, got canceled, so we'll try again this week. But head on down to Texas.
Before that, Friday night, we went to, so Friday morning, John Chris, buddy of mine's, played kickball, comedian. He was in town. Friday, Saturday, sold out shows at Ovens.
Yeah.
We went down to Victory Lane karting before that. So we had a bet. It's going to be, and what captured all on social media, or not on social media. It might be some teasers on social media, but it's all going to live on YouTube. In regards to, there may or may not be a late model race coming up at Wilkesboro that he's going to be involved in. That was fun, man. And his set right now, dude, is dialed. Is it? It was really funny. We went, us four, we went to go see Dave Chappelle, right, at Ovens for that hurricane relief.
Very different
style, right? Dave Chappelle is just like talking to you like over a bourbon type, funny. And also he's got an aura about him.
And he slips in some jokes at the end. It's more of like a
conversation.
It's more of like a cultural
monologue.
A monologue about, I don't know the right way to put it.
It was his Saturday night.
He's more of like a State of a Union that then he jokes.
Well, he
slides in some jokes.
When Chappelle was here, he was just working on his Saturday night monologue, which it was almost verbatim, but that was great. Anyways, John Chris, dude, was freaking hilarious. He had us cracked up. We had a good time. They have a 2-seater go-kart there at Victory Lane.
No way.
Yeah. So did
you get in it?
Yeah. So I gave Levi and Jensen a ride. They freaking loved it. But we also did something. So there's 2 wheels, right? Connected. So I turn, you turn. I can take my wheel and you can turn. And the right side seat has gas pedals. The left side doesn't. It's like, you're trying to teach your son how to drive. We did a bit where whoever's driving, whoever's got the steering wheel is on the side where there's no gas and brake, and we put duct tape over the side where there's gas pedal. So if you're driving, you have to tell me when to hit the gas, or I have to tell you when to hit the gas and when to hit the brake. And we saw who went faster. It was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. If you literally can't even see a hint of light out of your visor, and he's yelling, 100, 100, 100, brake! And you're just waiting like, ah! So that was pretty funny. I ran faster than he did because he had like blind trust. I was like, hold it. So that was fun. We'll cut some of that stuff up for you in the next couple weeks once Sean just starts, getting some sleep. Dude, did you hear his Sunday night?
Shout out to Sean.
Shout out to Sean.
Gonna fly back home.
He said he's doing like the cut it. I don't want to cut it because my man's dedicated. He's there following Joey around. It must be the good luck charm.
When he could sniff the front, dude, he's gonna get it.
When he sniffed the front, he goes gets it. But then he did it. He went and got it. And then, so actually, coming in here, he's won the last 3. When he's done his kids' crew, he gets a couple guys, couple kids, some fire suits. They have a great time. They go to the driver's meeting, and obviously the good Lord tips his cap when that happens because he's won the last 3.
The other person that tips their cap is Sean because he goes there and documents it all and films it all. So he was there yesterday to document that, film it. Had a flight out of Texas, out of Dallas at 8:30. They won. He had to stay because he had to miss his flight because they won. He had to document all that. Doesn't have a car, has to walk out of a
there's no
track.
Ubers that get close to the racetrack, so he had to load his Pelican case up, walk across the street to Buc-ee's to get Uber.
With a frown on his face. get in an Uber, get a hotel room, and then get an Uber at 4 o'clock in the morning to fly home to produce this podcast.
He literally
so you can
hasn't
listen to us.
slept or been home to see his wife and kid. He comes right here into the Nonsense Garage and knocks out content
So
for you.
Go follow Alpha Vision Media, and you can follow along with his doom and despair. The only guy who,
Hey, that's a real one.
that's a real one.
Shout out, Sean.
Yep.
All right. Shout out to Denny Hamlin's old pan too.
Yeah, what happened
because
here?
Either oil line fell off.
Oil pan failure. Couldn't hold all the parts in.
So whatever transferred oil from one place to the other was not working anymore, and then this happens. Large fire. And he was trying to ride it out. I wonder if, Steve Sarkisian was there and he'd like loosened oil line or something, because he comes out for driver intros and he does this.
Oh, yeah, horns down.
Boo. And they even said that on the broadcast. Harvick's like, what do you say? Something about a hat and a cowboy and no cow or something like that. You better nut up if you do that for driver intros. Not the case for the 11 Progressive Toyota Camry this week. Unfortunately, short day.
Did you see Dak Prescott was there?
I did. I walked right by him. Actually, I dapped him up. He walked by me. Paul Swan was like leading him like a tour guide.
Yeah.
Will Greer was there. He's a Lake Norman fella. Dak's got an aura.
He's big. He's like way taller and bigger than I thought. It was funny. He come walking by. Oh, man.
Nonchalantly walking around with Dak Prescott. No big deal.
I'm having to set the tone with my young guys on my pit crew. So he comes walking by, and I'm like thrashing, re-pumping this whole box. And they're like, hey, you going to get a picture with Dak Prescott? I said, I got more championships than him. He better come over here and get a picture with me. I got way more championships than Dak does.
You're not wrong.
But, yeah, I saw those guys walking
Twitter
around.
will love that.
Yeah.
Hey, you're not wrong.
happened.
Facts are facts, man.
Hey, dude, but how about this 21 coverage? I was so bummed to see this. I was excited to see them win the race off pit road. Young pit crew, they're running good. They just jump out to a lead. They're hauling the mail.
Well, they put rights on, maybe. Every time they came in,
They
that
put
21
rights-
car
They got
gained
rights.
spots.
They put rights on earlier to get track position, but they put 4 on here.
And he had this unit in the wind. Now he is, before we get going, in the danger zone. In relation to where this dash camera is, his right sides are in the gray. It's dirty, greasy,
And there's
slippery.
a bump there. Everybody's been talking about the bump.
Right about, so that if you look at the billboards on the wall, you got the Interstate Batteries, Worth, Speedy Cash, like right in that yellow one, that red yellow one, there's the turn 3 and 4 tunnel. And after the tunnel, there are some bumps. And the bumps get worse the higher you get on the racetrack. 21 cars catching the 51, on the gas, bump, bump, bump.
Ooh.
That's it. That's all she wrote, buddy. You see that thing, the old hospital hop, pop, 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 wrecked.
Done.
That 21 goes from the penthouse to the house.
19 to the, oh, yep. Man, right over the bumps, you can see it.
Yeah.
Plain as day.
And then Kyle Busch, the woes continue for that 8 car. I actually spent some time with Rodney
Randall
Burnett. So the 8 was in a bad aero position, shaded that right front headlight out.
You're just thinking about getting T-boned.
You're in the door. Yeah, they should let that thing roll. Oh my goodness, Richard.
Ricky.
And then he launches this thing. All right, boys, I'm through it, Harry. Oh my, that was so close. And that 47 ended up rebounding for a great day. Watch this thing get airborne. Whoa.
I'm through it, Harry.
No. Oh, here. They say,
Boink.
oh, all 4. Let's go. That does not feel good on the vertebra. Very close to calamity for that 47. I'm glad to see him have a good day. The 8 car, it's tough.
I hope they
It's
don't
tough, man.
have any issue. Like, I hope they leave. This racetrack is aging like a fine wine. I don't think it's great. I liked it the old way, but it's getting better and better. If you see the amount of cautions, nope, I don't want to hear it. You see the amount of cautions here because you high-paid mother are wrecking, and I like it because I want to see all these high-paid drivers have to work for it and bust their ass, and I am here for it. I think the Texas race, I don't love the configuration. I like the old track. I think it was badass. I do like that this is becoming one of the most treacherous racetracks we go to because you should have to earn it, and you got to earn it when you go here. People can be mad all they want. Everybody can be mad all they want. The bump, there's a bump. Don't hit it. Don't hit the bump. All right?
Go
Someone's gonna
around the
figure out how to
bump.
win.
Go
Don't
under
hit
the bump.
Yep.
Go
turns
over the
out,
bump.
Hey, and when you go over the bump, lift.
You
and
could
don't
lift.
crash, right? Oh, who would do that? I don't know. Somebody that doesn't want to crash. Like, I don't want to hear about the racetrack every week. Oh, well, there's a bump. We got to groove it down and get rid of the bump. Like,
That's
no,
true. Hey,
the
valid
character
point.
is what's making the racetrack. This racetrack stunk when we went back to it the first time, and it's getting better and better. And even the resin, like, it makes it tricky, and look at yesterday, Blaney drove through the field. He passed a bunch of cars to get to the front. They had a bunch of passes at the end of the race. You throw crazy blocks. Like, we can poo-poo on Texas all we want. It's not what it was. It's not going to be what it was. They reconfigured it. But the older it gets, the better the racing is getting.
I don't disagree with that. And I love seeing guys, single car, swap ends. Like, you're on the verge of slip. You're squeezing that right rear for all it's worth. And you also know, because you just ran the last 200 laps, you've been over the same bump 200 times. This is going to affect my car. We're going to talk to McDowell here later on. And he knew inherently he needed to set himself up in the right lane because he couldn't run across the bump wide open. So he knew that if you hit it and you're higher, you're going to be in the stops and you're going to bust your ass like we saw 3 or 4 guys do.
You know the longest run that we've had since they reconfigured Texas, longest green flag runs 50 laps?
Yeah, because it's ultimately
there
somebody's going to
was-
have some laps of focus.
Well, and we had that issues with left rears blowing there, and we've had different things. But now it's because, the cars are hard to drive and you're on the limit. And both ends are so much different. What happened with the Bubba Wallace crash? I didn't get to see that one. He said Higgy's got her tuned up. It's the big one, he's calling it.
So combination of the 22's on his left were really tight,
Oh.
and this in-car camera, the 23 here. So the 77 is in front of the 23, and he just shades up naturally, just covering the top. And the 23 gets tight enough to where he bounces off the fence a little bit, and the 22 had no margin for error, was on his left rear. Bounce back, smash, 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 smash.
That is what I do like. It's a gift and the curse with this car. I guess it depends on if your guy makes that or not. With the old car, if you hit like that, your day's done. You're caving the nose in. You've lost the...
In-car camera, the 22 here. You see the 23, tight. Oh, finish. Pop. Oh, and there. Oh, that's all it takes. Tank slapping.
Was Joey pushing him there or not really?
He wasn't on him until he hit the fence.
Dude, the margins are so close in these things.
Man, that turn 2 gets so flat, and you literally have so much wheel into it, hoping like finish, and somebody chokes the air off, and it's like a 4-tire slide into the fence. Oh, here comes AJ. Oh, pow.
They've been on a heater lately.
Oh my God, he's got to be thinking like, when can I stop hitting things?
Oh. Even when Carson's
Oh man, Noah was barely by it. Oh my goodness, run it back a little bit, barely clipped. Oh, what? Watch this right here, guys. Watch the 4. Hangs the left. Okay. Oh, they're spinning. I'm good. I'm clear. Oh no!
Gotcha.
Dang it.
Freeze tag. Gotcha.
Play it. Try again next week. Oh no, Chad Fincham coming in.
4 cars having a good day too, and then. Man, this was a tough one. Listen, I love Ryan Priest, big Ryan Priest fan. The fact that he came over and smacked out of you at Pocono and didn't do the same thing the car so far, I'm a little confused.
Yeah, I don't really know why he did that not there, because the 77 run clearing the fence. Now, this is an instance of the race. This is the point of the race where, the 60 and the 77 were running 3rd and 4th, 5th, somewhere in there. Both those guys having a great day. The cycle starts with about 50 to go. About 4 of the top 10, maybe 7 of the top 15 pit, about 50-50 split. Jesse Love spins out, brings the yellow out.
I just don't understand
halfway through the cycle
why you would do that here, with knowing the data of how short the green flag runs have been. And then you also got to factor in the issues that people have on green flag pit stops.
Wheels falling off.
Spinning
on entry of pit road. I agree.
I can't understand how unless you're in a fuel window or something, how it's a good idea to short pit here.
Well, the contrary idea, and the reason why those guys do it, if you're running 4th and let's just say you're 3 seconds behind the guy in 3rd and you want to go put tires on, you think it's worth 4 or 5 tenths, and you can flip him, get in an offensive or a defensive position, and now keep that track position. But clearly it didn't work out for the guys that tried to leapfrog track position. It held those guys a lap down, so they had to therefore take the wave and give up all the track position. The 77 was a rocket ship this weekend on the pole, led many laps, was in the top 5 all day long, gets in the back, had a hard time going anywhere, and just forced the issue here. Him in the 60 off of 2, he plugged him right in the fence, and that was day over.
Oh. What was the... I just don't get it.
Well, you reach the point of no return about like 100 yards back.
You have to lift.
You have to lift.
So, like, I'm not trying to, like, Hocevar too much because I'm sure he gets it from all angles, but, like, he just rode the dente right in there. Never even lifted. You got to get off the dente at some point. Oh, he got tight, too.
He got tight, right, and then the 60 puts it out there. He had position, but he stuck it out there relatively late. And then now the 77 doesn't have any. Listen to it here.
He lifted.
Problem is that he needed that lane to finish.
He got it. It stems from the
but the air is so turbulent relative to what he's been used to all day.
Exactly. Being behind the 34, he loses the nose, and it
Riding along with SVG here. If you're watching this on YouTube, smash. Oh, watch out. Clear.
Whoa. Well,
I'm glad to see something going, Shane.
So, yeah, amen.
Shane, oh, no, not the same for Cody Ware. Kyle Busch said, watch out, little boy. I'm coming through here. The fans, dude, were loving this. I was up in the grandstands watching this, and the fans were like, yeah. Did they get the toe link fixed? Hey.
They got the toe link fixed on the 77?
Yeah, he finished like 2 laps down.
Really?
Yeah.
That thing looks unfixable right there.
Yeah, I know it, but they fixed it.
That's awesome. What do we got here?
Shout out Dan.
54 had a great day going. I don't know how they lost track position.
The 6 just ran out of traction. You'll have that. It's treacherous over there, buddy.
Another champion. I mean, a couple champions this weekend spun out. And the leader of the race. Like, it's very hard.
Oh, they're still piling in here.
Oh, 2 cars.
8, 41, 2 smash.
So it turned a easy single car spin into
calamity. The 41 Red Baron car looks sweet this weekend. Oh, okay, so there it was. We were riding along with the 6 out of his windshield. 2 cars side by side, off of 2.
No air.
0 air. That's all she wrote. Whoa.
Oh, Willie B.
I love these in-car cameras. 54, Ty Gibbs, clear. So the 54 was also one of the cars that got the short end of the stick with that cycle. He was running 5th, 6th maybe. Ty Dillon forced his way on through it, clear. Let's see. In-car camera, the 8. 6 is around, up, clear, back. Oh, somebody got in his right rear. Oh, smash. Yeah.
I'm sure he was mod.
Well, he can't be mad. Literally, the caution before that, he did the same thing to Cody Ware.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Damn it.
Damn. Maybe it was Cody Ware that got him back.
Yeah, change my tires.
Oh, boy.
The 18 woes continue, man. It's been hearing a lot of chatter on it, right? Listen to Kevin Harvick talk about it on his happy hour show. It's feast or famine for that group right now. I talked to Randall a little bit. He's awesome, dude. But I wanted to just get an understanding of like the culture and just like the vibe in that shop. And he's like, man, him and I are on the same page, and we are willing to do the work and the grind work necessary to turn this thing around. We talk about it almost on a weekly basis, but now the metric score could essentially change the trajectory of like 4 or 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, because let's just say you could even go rewind this thing. Let's just say if you're the 77 group, hypothetically, yesterday, you're in contention to run easily 3rd to 5th. Like, lock that one in. Caution comes out mid-cycle. Now you get torn up in the wreck. Now you have to go qualify 3rd or 4th to last at Kansas. You qualify 23rd, 4th. You're mired in traffic. Your pit box selection's not as good. And you're buried because of an instance that's outside of your control. And then and then you have a bad points day, hypothetically, you might lose another spot. So now your metric base of your owner's points is even worse. That's how tight the margins, the variables are in the Cup Series. You look at it, oh, yep, Joey Logano drove from 27 to the win. Like, yes. And Joey's a 3-time Cup champion and exceptional. But the tale of two tapes, the 47, the beneficiary of that caution now, he's 18th in points. Come to look at it, I feel like anytime I look up, he's racing around the 51 and 30th. And they just manufacture finishes. They manufacture days.
Who's that, the 8?
The 47.
The 47, yeah.
And I think that's one of Ricky's and obviously Joey, and there's a list of guys who have a ton of experience that when they have the opportunity, they maximize the day. Certainly Joe Logano maximizes the day, turns the tide on that 22 season, and punches their ticket to the playoffs. But somebody who got damn close to punching their tickets on an underdog victory is Michael McDowell in that 71 car, in contention to win until he got passed by Joey, monster block, and ultimately got plugged in the fence. And let's just go ahead and talk about it. We're going to get him in studio in the Nonsense Garage. Michael McDowell coming up right after this. All right, guys, like we talked about, big guest coming in. Not only is he a big guest, he had a great run yesterday. He's going to talk about it. But you were the first ever guest on Stacking Pennies. Remember that?
I do remember that.
You win your Daytona 500. So welcome back to the Nonsense Garage, Mr. Michael McDowell.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, first off, how you feeling?
I feel good. I feel like I tank slapped the inside wall a little bit.
Well,
but
you tank slapped the outside first.
Yeah, the outside wasn't so bad. It was that inside one that gave you a little bit of a zinger.
The worst is, like, you had a long time to look at it, too, like you know it's coming.
Yeah, and the disappointment,
Yeah, I was going to say,
After
so physically, okay. Mentally.
Yeah, physically, a little sting on the left side, that's about it. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Emotionally, it's tough.
Bruised.
Definitely bruised.
Well, man, we got so much stuff to get caught up in. I want to know about just the whole transition, but nonetheless, the 71 was the catbird seat yesterday, buddy. Had to feel good. Old Travis Peace, when I talked with him before the race, he is never short on confidence, but also like he felt good about it.
Yeah.
The Spire bought a lot of speed. Carson on the pole had a great run going. You guys had a little bit of pit road issues early.
Yep.
Left the wrench in when you had rights on, trying to get some track position, and then that essentially flipped your race, and you had the benefit of catching. You're on the right side of the yellow during that green flag yellow when the 62 came out. Flipped you guys after you took rights to the top 3, and then you were in the mix for the win the rest of the day. It was awesome to see. So right here, 24 to go, still some meat left on the bone. We're going to get right into it and talk about it. You're lined up to the greatest driver on earth right now.
Yeah, and he beat me a couple times in this last one, and I sort of figured out his timing and what he was doing, and I won't let out his secrets, but he was doing something unique, and I was like, you know what? You do it again, and I got you. and he did, and he actually spun the tires just a little bit, and the 45 picked me up just at the right time. You know how timing is on this, right?
Yep.
I had my timing to the 5. I felt like I timed that perfect, but the 45 timed me too.
Oh, dude, and you timed it right when you got into the box too. Perfect.
Yeah, and
it looks like, you don't have to confirm or deny. It looks like he drags it slower into the box.
Yeah, he's got a few little tricks. Like I said, I won't let his tricks out the bag because I learned them the first time. I listened, and I was like, what are you doing over there?
He's starting in first gear.
And then and then the second time I'm like, I think I'm almost there. And the third one I was like, I got you now. If you do the same thing, I got you.
Yeah. Does it help being in a Chevrolet and having the same gear ratios, like kind of knowing what people are doing on restarts?
Well, I think that in general the Hendrick engine shop, I mean, our engines are awesome.
Yeah.
And especially in these situations. And
they work hard on it.
They work hard on it. And we have a plan, and it's not just something where you just, go whenever you want to go. There's a plan. And so I knew it was going to be tougher with the 5 than it was with the 12. But the 5 was pushing the 12. And that which he's going to. I mean, and Joey gave me a shot too. It wasn't like, everybody was trying to win the race. So the restart here was actually a little tougher because the 5 gave the 12 a pretty good shot, and we were side by side for longer than I wanted to be.
But you got a guy pushing you that's pretty good at pushing too. But but like you said, the 5 has the same motor.
He was doing his deal. He was dragging back to try to get a run, and he wanted to try to put me 3 wide there, and just wasn't quite able to do it. But the 12 hung tight here, tight on my door.
You went a whole lap side by side, electric fans on their feet, buddy.
Man, and getting into it right here, like I drug him back, and
were you wide open?
I was wide open, and he was wide open too, I think.
How light did that pinky toe get?
Oh man, you know how it is, because I'm just expecting him to get through that bump and spin out and come down the track,
but he didn't.
And it didn't. So I was surprised he was able to get through it as well as he did. But I think that just doing this 2 or 3 or 4 times, you start getting that timing down, and everybody's figuring each other out too. And everybody's cagey in this sport. I mean, you got the best guys up there. You had Larson and Logano and Blaney. Those guys know how to finish these races. So I knew I had to keep staying sharp and keep trying everything I could. And I gave him the business a little bit right there too. He was coming down trying to pinch me, and I'm like, dude, you are not taking away my arc. I am going to hold this thing wide open and see what happens. So
you made it.
We made it. And
do you come off for okay, we got the lead, 12 to go, whatever number it was. It's like, okay, now what's the intent?
Yeah. So once I cleared the 12 there, after the caution came out, we had to do it again. I cleared the 12 the next time. I had him covered. I felt like. Speed-wise too, dirty air.
Yep.
He got behind me one time, lost a bunch of ground, and I'm like, I think I'm going to be fine as long as he's there. And then the 22 got clear.
Yep.
And I was thinking, man, he's 7 or 8 back.
He's got 4 tires versus your 2.
I wasn't even thinking about that, honestly.
No.
And then when he was 3 back, I was like, uh-oh. Yeah.
All right, so we talked about this actually before the show, because I wanted to hear what was going through your head, because you're very calculative, and you're, of course, wanting to judge the difference between hitting your corner, running the bottom, wherever you feel like your car's handled, versus aero blocking.
Yep.
And you had a really interesting perspective on that. So this is about 4 to go here, and the 22 is within the bubble, if you will.
Yep. Yeah.
And I asked you why you committed to running your corner versus air blocking at this point in time.
Yeah, so a couple of reasons, none of which I think are right, but going into it, Joey was just far enough back there that he was waiting to see where I was going to land, and he was going to go the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And so right here, if I stay high, he's still going to pull down.
Yep.
So I did a lazy arc and pulled to the bottom. Obviously gave him clean air on the top, which, hindsight, I wish I wouldn't have done that. But the whole point of what I was trying to do is I did not want to be on the outside of 3 and 4.
That's a monster block, buddy.
And, I tried.
That's a block like your life depends on it.
Well,
that's what that is.
I looked at it as I went as far as I was willing to go, and it's Joey Logano. He's going to fence me. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And I would too, right?
Yeah.
Like if somebody pulled that move on me, I'm giving it to him. And
For sure.
I felt like I took him as far as and I could even see his nose start to turn right, and I was like, okay, here we go.
I've seen Carl Edwards at Homestead.
Dude, that would have been a large wreck into 3.
And so at that point, you're obviously, I'm thinking it once you got clear. All right, just need the caution come out, stack it up again. Something happened. I wasn't really panicked. You stay in the moment, you stay focused, and I knew at that point that was the win unless a caution comes out. And so I was just trying to, make sure that I do my job and not have this happen that happens right here. But
hang on before you run this clip, though. So this is 3 to go, 4 to go?
Yeah, 2 to go.
Car starts handling a little worse in dirty air.
Oh, for sure.
What is the difference between just first and second in terms of turbulent air?
Well, I mean, it's huge, and not only that, the last 20 laps, even though you've had caution in there, you've been committed to just wide open qualifying laps, right? And so you're at 10 tenths, you're at the very limit.
Right front's cooked.
Yeah, everything's cooked. And when I made that block on Joey, we both went up, and I kind of got into the stuff. We were out of the throttle though, and the 12 got inside of me, and I was thinking, it is what it is, right? I just need to get back in here and try to build some momentum, and so I wasn't panicked at this point. I was disappointed, but not panicked. And you know what I mean. When it's slipping out of your fingers, sometimes you just go And I've worked really hard on just like, take a deep breath, relax. It's not over till it's over, you know? And then, you know, as this plays out, I just was completely caught off guard. I mean, I felt like I was in a normal traffic spot. It wasn't a big deal, but when that 12 slid up, man, it just took off. And so that's super bummer because we had such a great shot at winning the race, and when that was over, we needed to bring it home third. We needed to bring it home fourth, whatever it was. Like, it was going to be a great day. It was going to be a good points day. We've been really close to right on that bubble. You know, that 20-point swing is the bubble, and you know, it just didn't happen. I mean, when he slid up, I just got into an arrow spot, and so it took off.
You saw how many incidents happened in the truck series where guys on their door have a big moment.
Well, at this point right here, I don't plan on him coming up because he's got the momentum. But when he slides up, right when it flattens out, I'm telling you, the rears were gone. And
just chokes all the air off.
It just chokes the air off.
Do you think that just it cuts off all the rear downforce?
I do. I think that once you stop feeding, you know, the splitter, and you cut the nose off of the air, the diffuser stalls out, and you lose a lot of rear.
It's almost like I've always felt it as though, you know, in the trucks or with the old Cup car, if you lose your side skirt seal, somebody's on it, it's gone.
Yep.
This car, if you lose like left rear diffuser seal, like that instance, you're a passenger at that point.
Honestly, if he was slid all the way in front of me, I'd have been fine.
You just got the 4-tire push.
I'd have got the 4-tire push.
Yeah.
But the way that he kind of lazy creeped up, and right when it flattened out, it was just the worst spot to be in. And that's probably the hardest thing to stomach with all of it, because for me, like I said, when Joey got clear, unless another caution comes out, I'm not going back by him. And we would have ended that day with a top 5, and yeah, we would have wanted to win, and we'd have been disappointed that we didn't run the top of 1 and 2. We didn't pull a successful block, but we would have had a decent day. But to come home wadded up with nothing, you're just like, oh, you feel like such a schmuck, you know? You just feel like you let everybody down. And
well, they knew you were there.
Yeah, I mean, they knew we were there. And, you know, you guys know the mental struggle with this. It's tough. You know, you get done with that, and adrenaline's still going, and you're bummed out. You're bummed out that you had a shot, and you feel like you let your teams down and your partner down, and, you know, ownership and all the things. And then you sort of can get over it for a minute. And then
you come in here and talk about it more.
Then you talk about it, or you just think about it, and you're like, you look at the points, and you're like, oh gosh, you know, and it just keeps adding up. But
well, you know how much a win, whether it's the 500, whether it's the Indy GP, it changes not only your season, but like the next several seasons.
Yep, absolutely. I think that the saving grace in this situation is our cars have speed.
Oh yeah,
and we'll have another shot at winning. And it hasn't always been like that, right? We haven't always had that confidence, at least in my career, where, you know, there's more than 1 or 2 opportunities to win. I think we'll have several more opportunities, and, you know, you learn from your mistakes, and the trials kind of toughen you up and get you prepared for the next one.
Well, man, you have there. I don't know if there's been more trials that any race car driver in the Cup Series has been through than you, but like fans that might not know Michael McDowell is like Starton Park to Daytona 500 champion journey.
Yeah.
And of how many instances had to go right, and how many times you just drove the motorhome and all your kids to just run 10 laps, park, and go home and make a couple grand. Like, what was some of those instances along the way where you're beat down thinking that there's never going to be an opportunity, like the next thing's provided?
Yeah.
The next thing's provided.
It was very year to year, and like you said, it's tough because everybody that gets to the Cup Series is super talented and won races and has that burning desire. And when you know you're showing up that there's no chance that you're even going to compete all the laps, let alone be competitive, you know, I just sort of found my own little, like, goals that I set, you know, like qualifying was the deal. And, you know, I wanted to qualify into the race, and I had to make those races, and they were tough. And then in the race, I'd be like, man, I'm going to get to 26 before I pull off. Or I'm going to get in front of this car before I pull off, or whatever it is. And so you find these little miniature goals to stay motivated. But it was tough. I mean, it was tough. And, you know, I think that for me, though, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about, you know, other people's perception of your value, and what you determine your value is really important. And, you know, we're a performance-based business, and so we put a lot of value on our performance. And when there's no shot at it, you have to learn how to deal with that. And so I think it made me mentally tough and resilient. It also made my relationships better with the people around me.
So how do you figure out what your value is then?
Well, for me, it's two things. Is that I feel like first and foremost for me, like my value is in my faith and who God says I am, right? And that's the most important thing for me. The second part is that for me, where I can sort of manage and deal with the struggles is by working hard and being prepared. And I felt like if I worked hard and I was prepared and I gave it everything I had, I can let the results be pretty loose. And I still can to this day. I still feel like that I can do that. And, some days that goes great and you get those wins, and some days it ends up like that. I mean, that doesn't stop me from learning and looking back and going, man, I should have done this, I should have done that. And I'll learn from those. But I know that each and every race is a gift and each and every day is a gift. And I've been fortunate to experience the highs and I've experienced the lows. And, I think that one of the things that has really helped me with that is I try not to let my highs be too high and I just don't let my lows be too low. And that keeps me sort of middle ground, and that's a safer place for me.
I had one thing that I'll let Ryan fire one over at you is before we sat down, there was at the restart, we were like, all right, Lord, I'm holding it loosely. Take what you want. And there's been instances in your career where you've said that and it's gone how you wanted it to go.
Yeah.
And there's been instances like yesterday where it doesn't turn out how you want it to go. How do you then go back? It's like, okay, the outcome is what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It's like it versus what you want to happen
and
being okay with that.
Yeah, that's great. So let me break it down. I've been in this spot before many times. And the reason that I have to reset in the car and take that breath is because I will naturally overdo it. I will. Like, you give me a sniff at it and I'm going to overdo it, right? Because I know what it means and I know what it's worth. And that has cost me in the past. That's cost me with mistakes. And, and so I've learned, just recently how to sort of take a deep breath, relax, and handle that. But in those moments, I'm just like, man, Lord, you got me here. It is what it is. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to stay relaxed. And whatever the outcome is today, I'm going to just be okay with it. And I know that sounds cheesy, but that's my reset. That's my reset of it's not all about me. If it was about me, it would be a loss every single time, right? And so for me, it's like, okay, I'm going to hold it loosely. I'm going to relax. And then all that chaos happens, right? Yeah. And you get done where you're like, did I overdo it, right? And I didn't. I really didn't. I feel like now my decision-making wasn't perfect, but I felt calm in the moment. I felt relaxed in the moment. I felt like I knew what I wanted to do. And it just didn't work out. And I think that for me, the biggest thing is that when it has worked out, I have also not looked at it like, I did everything right.
Yeah.
I've looked at it like, man, I was very fortunate today. Everything went right. Caution comes out at the wrong time. Pit stop goes bad at the wrong time, and you're not in that winner's circle, right? And so on the flip side, when it doesn't go right, you can just go, it just didn't go right. Today wasn't the day. And so I always tell people I don't believe in luck. I believe in timing and preparation. Preparation's on me. I was prepared for those restarts. I knew what I wanted to do. I executed my plan. The timing of those cautions, I can't control that. Somebody else spins out, I can't control that. And those timing things, those variables, you can't control, but being prepared for the moment is important. And I'll learn from this too. I'll learn the 2 or 3 things that I should have done differently, and try to put myself in my team in that position again and make the right moves.
I have a couple questions, but I wanted to circle back. You talked about when the 12 was behind you versus when the 22 was behind you. You were 6th yesterday on defense, which I think is a big stat. When looking at Racing Insights, I think when you look at the blocks people are blowing on each other and just the way this race is now, that defense number, especially on 1.5 miles, is huge.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to give us everything, but, how do you decide who and how you defend? Because, it sounded like you had a different plan for Blaney than you did for Joey.
I did, yeah. I did. And really because Joey was still coming even when I put him in a little bit bad air, and I knew that I needed to not put myself in the position where I was on the outside of 3 and 4.
Why is that?
Just because I was so close to the limiter already that if I went through those bumps and I knew I was going to spin.
You'd end up like the 21.
Yeah, and just because I had enough moments in the race where I knew I was right at it, and that wasn't at wide open.
Yeah.
And you would have been committed to wide open, right? And
yeah.
so
Checkers
you're processing all that. Also, too, is, Joey had more speed. Joey's also cagey, right? I mean, so is Blaney, but he's 3-time champion for a reason, right? He knows how to execute these moments. And he's going to do the opposite of what you do. And so I went to the bottom twice, and I was hoping he's thinking, I went twice, he's not going to go a third time. And he just never pulled down.
So it's that game of cat and mouse.
That's right,
that you're like legitimately having.
It was cat and mouse because I knew that if I gave him the bottom, he was going to get me because I wasn't very good on the top in 1 and 2. And so I didn't want to give him the bottom. However, you could go back and say, man, if I would have ran the top, he'd have followed me in, got dirty air, game over.
Well, no, because if you ran, he's making that decision after you already picked your lane.
That's right, yeah.
So is there a way of, and I've seen this before, is at Texas in the 1, can you shade to the top and even, like you said you did a slow pull. Is that kind of the move of like shading the top and using the whole racetrack and just blowing a big wake?
If I had more stability, I would have.
So
I was on the edge, and he was still catching me, right? And so I knew that I couldn't just give it to him by making a big mistake either. And so for me, I couldn't pull down or let it just go. I sort of had to find my lane and stay in it. And so that was part of it too. Is we got behind and we lost track position. We freed it up a bunch.
Yep.
And now I'm in clean air.
And the front's turning.
Man, I was hanging on for dear life up there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You can't pull a wheel.
I'm like lazy arcing, but if I go back right, I don't think that I make the corner. And
or you're not getting down the backstretch because you got to dump out of the throttle.
But we'll go back and I'll go back and analyze it, and we'll figure out a different way. But that's what's fun about racing, right? Is you do that and then he pulls to the bottom and I'm on the outside of 3 and 4. I promise you, I'm holding it wide open and wrecking. Right? It's coming to 2 to go. I know what's going to happen. So I was trying to put myself in the best position to not do that, and obviously, it didn't quite work out. But you learn.
So you move the Spire and you have, just a ton of just racing IQ, like you've been explaining here, and you have 2 really young teammates. One might be the fastest guy in the garage. How has it been working with Carson and Justin?
It's been different for both of them, right? They're very, different personalities, and their approaches are very different. It's been a transition. I'm not going to lie. It's been a transition. I thought that I thought I'd seen everything, and I hadn't. And I kid with Dickerson, our owner, and Sparks and McCall of like, you guys gave me some really interesting cats to work with here. Carson is very fast, like you said. His approach though is very different than mine, and I'm very analytical. I study the data. I know what's in our cars. I know what our processes are and procedures, and I'm in all that. And he's just like, which lane you gonna run? Where you gonna U-shape throttle? You gonna dump out?
Never feels good.
Yeah, so he has a lot of raw talent and a lot of raw speed, no doubt about it. And but it's hard for him and I to connect. I think there hasn't been any drama. We sort of found our lane. Justin and I have connected well. Like we get along, and he's more analytical, and he's a student, and he's digging in, and it's a little different. But he's super shy and quiet and reserved and low energy.
Yeah.
And I'm like a fireball, So it's very interesting. And then obviously you got a 20-year age gap too. And that's
one pulls in a Tesla truck, the other one pulls in a Dale Earnhardt truck.
Yeah, then I got a Suburban.
And you got Suburban,
what I mean? With 5 kids in it. Yeah, so couldn't be any different.
Yeah.
But our teams are working good together.
Yeah.
And that's good. I think you're seeing that. Obviously Justin had a solid weekend, but not a great weekend. But part of that is just where they went out in qualifying. They went out early.
Still
qualified 14th or 15th. It was a great day, actually, but on a place that's so track position dependent, as you guys saw, like I was going to run 18th after that penalty. It wasn't going anywhere. And then you put us out front, we have a shot at winning the race. So, but I feel like our teams are working good together.
Well, that's where if I'm Dickerson, like I like it, right? Because like I listen to you and how you analyze a race, and it's like really high IQ, figuring out lanes and cat and mouse with, you know, Logano and racing for wins. And then you have Carson, who like has a ton of speed, right? And now we have more data to show why he has that speed. So when someone has a ton of speed like that, you go, okay, what can I apply from here?
Right.
And apply it to my racecraft. And then he has a ton of speed. What can he take from you and apply it to, you know, what he's doing during the race? So if I'm Dickerson, I'm excited about that. It's just getting that to meet together and use each other's strengths.
And I think we're getting close, you know. We're starting to determine and figure out what those differences are that we need in the cars, because you can't drive the same car. You know, it's kind of normal between teammates. Everybody needs a little bit different. So we're honing in on that to where we know that delta and what we both need and what Justin needs. And Justin and I are more similar as far as setup-wise. We sort of land more similar. So that part of it is coming together. I feel like, I know it's early, I feel like it's taken a little longer than I thought, but I think that's just a racer in us that is like, we want results yesterday, you know, but we're there. We have the speed, and we just got to execute a little bit better.
You talk about the teams working together. Big change last week. They brought Rodney in, you know, on a gold covered wagon, right? Brought him in the building like he was the savior. He made it not even to Easter break. What are some observations as to why they made that change as early as they did, and what, in your opinion, wasn't working?
I was hoping you'd let me off the hook on this one.
I talked to Rodney this past week.
So, you know, this isn't the PC or PR answer. I mean, everybody liked Rodney in the shop. There was no drama. There was no issues. I think more than anything was you could tell that pairing wasn't going to work with Justin and Rodney.
Yeah.
Now, Justin didn't complain about anything. He didn't. That's not how he's wired, you know. And Rodney wasn't really complaining either, but you could just tell that pairing was going to be tough. Their personality-wise, it's just all of it, just the energy. They're both very quiet. They're both very introverted, right? And so they just weren't extracting what they needed out of each other.
Yeah.
And you could tell that isn't going to change. People aren't going to wake up and all of a sudden be bubbly and change their whole personality. So, you know, the way that I look at it is like, you know, Rodney obviously had an amazing career, won a lot of races, championship, super smart. He did help our program, no doubt about it. He helped our program and would have continued to help the program, but the fit just wasn't there. And then you could also tell too, and you know, I don't know if he would say this or not, but you could tell he wasn't quite happy either. You know, you could tell that he wasn't loving life either. And so I think anytime you're in that spot where it's just like, hey, this isn't working, and it's not because you're not good at what you do. He's good at what he does. It's just not working. And you know Jeff and our ownership group well enough to know, hey, it's not going to work. They'll just make a change. They're not afraid to do it.
Yep.
And rather than let it ride out another 6 or 7 months and then try to figure out how to make a decision. So, yeah, it was tough. I mean, obviously it's a little bit of a hiccup in the shop, right? Because everybody's like, what's going on here and all that. But, you know, you got to trust the process, and I feel like, you know, it all works out.
I think a guy like Rodney, we all respect immensely for his accolades in the sport, right? He's a champion crew chief, 40 wins. He's cut from the cloth of like Banjo Matthews, Junior Johnson type crew chief of like, let's make a better mousetrap. Let's make a cooler oil tank that has more surface area. Let's allegedly shift the spoilers over 3/4 of an inch, and then let's move the tails over. Like, let's figure out how to cheat this son of a up and get it through tech.
Absolutely.
Like, and when Rodney and Kevin were doing that, they won 8 and then 10 races a year.
Yep.
Then they get their hand slapped, right? And then they have to restart the process.
Yep.
This car, you don't do that.
Yeah, this car,
they will throw your ass out for a 20,000 spoiler shim.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Which is the way it should be.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of Rodney's strengths, it takes a lot of his strengths away.
Yep.
And I don't, from my own point of view, I don't envy those guys that stare at Squiggly lines all day, because that's where the details are at now.
Yeah.
It's on the sim. It's on 20,000 toe shim. It's in like the minute details that a Travis Peterson, a young guy, more engineering minded, is where the I think, and also not only engineering knowledge, it's people skills.
Yeah,
it's leading your group.
Well, that's a great point, because if you took the best guy at every position in the garage per se, and you put them all on one team, they probably wouldn't be successful.
It would implode.
Because it's that way.
Yeah.
Give me a team full of mediocre guys with a solid leader that all pull the rope in the same direction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll take over the world.
Well, and Corey probably knows more of the behind the scenes than most, but that's my sweet spot, is finding those guys, right? Like,
yeah.
Travis Peterson was a race engineer that they weren't going to move up into a crew chief that kept getting overlooked, that had a ton of fire and was super smart.
Something to prove.
Yeah, Blake Harris was a car chief stud that knew how to get the most out of everything and kept getting overlooked for a crew chief position, right? And so my sort of dish has been able to identify those people and say, hey, like, let's go do this. Let's build out the team. And
so
like
what
you
is
said,
it? What do you tell about a guy? Alex Bowman's crew chief is now Blake Harris. Travis has obviously been with you a couple of years. What is it that you look for? So
you got to know the current situation you're in, and I don't want to let too much out, but when I needed a crew chief before I got Blake, I had a really strong engineer with Chris Jurgis, super smart, knows the tools really well. It's on the 38 that Skip's on now, and super smart. And so I needed a car guy. I needed somebody that was going to max everything out, lead the team,
pull the quarters out,
pull the
roof down,
get it all, you know. And it's because I had a really strong engineer, and so I didn't need somebody that could run the tools.
Yeah.
Right. And so Blake was a perfect fit, and he was in a contract, and we were able to work all that out and get him. And he was great. His job still is. Then I lost Jurgis, crew chief, everybody, and I was like, man, I am not going to find a stud engineer and a stud car guy. I'm going to have to find an engineer that knows a little bit about the car but that's really good with the tools, you know. So each situation you had to identify where your weak spot was and where you needed that person, and then you just start building around them. I don't need to pair Travis up with somebody that's just like Travis. I need to pair him up with somebody that is going to do the things that he doesn't know how to do well.
Yep. And
so you just start building on that one person at a time, you know. But my thing, what I look for is attitude and effort. You give me somebody that has fire, dogs, I think you guys call them on this show.
Dogs, yeah.
You give me some dogs with good attitudes and fire, and we'll take care of the rest. And so that's what I look for. It's not necessarily the statistics or how many wins or championships you have, but whether you got that fight in you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you get into the trenches of this season, I mean, you got to have those guys dig you out, because like you said, if you have a couple bad weeks, you get like the 7 car. Perfect example. If you get buried in that metric, there's only one way, and it's you got to go through it and dig yourself out of it.
Yep.
And if everybody is not pulling the same way, you just stay in there.
You stay
not
stuck.
only competitively, but emotionally too. It makes the weeks really long.
Yeah.
It makes it tough to get. Sometimes it makes it tough to get on that plane. You know, you're like worried about what you're doing. So that core group of guys and having that paired up, man, I think that's said really well the way you said it.
So the 71 season, I would just be based off of, you know, pole sitter at Vegas, ton of speed at Texas, looking ahead to Charlotte coming up, Michigan, you know, the last half of the regular season. I think they brought up about pointing your way in or something. You cut maybe Jeff Gluck off in the middle. It's like, you're not pointing your way.
Pointing way in.
No.
Yeah, I'm too stupid to point my way in.
That's also like, you can't rest on the opportunity to point your way in.
No, I mean, here's what I'll say is you don't throw caution in the wind no matter what, right? I know it looks like I did, but I was perfectly content after I lost the lead to run third.
Yeah.
I mean, I was, because it was going to be a good point day and all the things. You want points. You want as many points as you can get.
Yeah.
You don't want to throw away good finishes. You don't want to be just, flipping about it. But if you're Travis Peterson on the box, I want him making the calls he made. I didn't want to run 15th yesterday and take our points and move on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he gave us a shot to win the race, and you got to do the same thing behind the driver's seat. So I just don't allow my mind to think that you're going to point your way in. I stay locked in on it. You're just going to take a win. And then you look at Chris Buescher last year, had a great season, so close. I mean, lost by inches, I think twice, right? Something crazy.
I don't even know if it was an inch.
Yeah. And had a great season.
He's on the outside looking in.
And Chase Briscoe wins that last race, and he's out.
Yep.
And so, to me, I can't think like that. I can't think going to the Talladega or Daytona that we'll take our third and be happy. I can't think that way. It would probably help me in some circumstances. I'm trying to get better at that. I'm trying to, just do everything you can and not, like I talked about, overdo it when you are in that spot. But you can't just let yourself think you're going to point your way in. It might happen. But winning races is what it's all about. It's what it's always been about. And I think that you just keep your mind on that.
Mm-hmm.
Pays way better to win, too.
Pays better.
Everybody loved that.
Yep.
You've answered this question before. You've been on the show. Shoot, this is year 5 of this thing. So you were legitimately on episode 1. So a lot of stuff's happened between that episode and now, and a lot of things are still the same. But I wonder if your answer's still the same. I'm sure they can go back in the archives and figure out what your answer was. But I'll ask you 3 questions.
All right.
If you had to pick one race car and one racetrack to race out the rest of your life, what do you go with?
Champ car, Road America, turbo, no power steering, that kind of stuff.
When men were men?
Yeah.
I feel like these cars.
I think that was your answer
Yeah.
back then too, if I'd imagine.
I feel like these cars race like a Indy car, Champ
They do.
car, or
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
Like when I watch the way they react in dirty air like
Yeah,
that, like
I know.
that's
It looks like an IndyCar crashing, doesn't it?
it does.
Yeah, it takes
and
off
it
like
gets
that.
to that point of no return.
Yeah.
It's a little bit. At least you got a little bit more around you.
Yeah.
When you
It's
crash, but
definitely safer.
Does it feel that way? Do you
Yeah.
remember that feeling from when you ran those?
I
to
do,
now?
yeah. You're right at the limit and you're pushing 100% all the time, which our old car you couldn't. Like tires wouldn't take it. Like you had to pace yourself, and guys that managed tires and managed the runs were really good,
Yep.
Now you run qualifying laps every lap.
It's
You're not
something.
pacing anything, and you're right on that edge. And when you get over it, it's gone.
You're done.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
done.
We
so.
saw it yesterday.
Yeah.
Texas is probably the worst place
in
for
the
it.
way,
Texas is the
like
worst.
the graph, if you had this arbitrary graph of like how much grip and how much ability these cars have, getting it closest to the point of that razor blade is where you try to live.
Yeah.
And just getting comfortable with that 99.99%
Yeah.
skew tire grip. But if you go 100.1, just like pit road speed, your day's over.
Dude,
Yeah.
when's the last time you saw the leader bust his ass?
Yeah.
Ever?
Uh,
I don't know that I remember it. I can't remember. Higgy's like the damn
Rain Man.
history
of
man.
NASCAR
Here. I don't
stats.
know if I don't know if I remember that. Wait, I thought he was just blew a right rear because that's
Yeah.
like the typical. Remember, like the ARCA cars. One guy would take off at the beginning of the race and they blow the right front because they were
Yeah.
over cambered. Like
Yep.
a lot of times with these cars, a guy takes off and they blow a right rear because they're on the limiter too hard.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
17 did
that's what I
yesterday.
figured happened. And it wasn't until after the race they were like, no, he spun out.
Who you talking about?
Josh Berry
21.
Oh,
leading the race.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
hauling the mail and just got in a bad aero spot with 51, got on the bump, swapped ends. It's
Wild.
well, that's the thing about being, people want to stand in the grandstands and think because the cars aren't moving around, they don't have a ton of body heave, they're not sliding, laying black marks, that it's easy.
Well, they're sliding around. It's just like this.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Exactly. Right. Because the cup drivers are so elite, they make it look easy up until it's not.
Until it's not. Yeah.
And the guys who are comfortable on that razor edge of 99.5, there's a lot of juice left to squeeze
Yeah.
to the top of that point. So I'm excited to see what you and that 71 group can squeeze out of the rest of the season. Question number 2: what's the most embarrassed you've been at the racetrack?
Richmond for sure. I was behind Danica under caution, and
Pull the tape, Piggy. What year?
call it 17, 16, 17, probably 17, and leaders are pitting. We're one down. You pull over a little bit, try to let them have it.
Yep.
Last second, she pulls left. I'm staring at a red fire truck, safety truck, clobber
No.
the right rear of it with the right rear. That's the most embarrassed I've ever been because, it wasn't. I was just watching that inside row.
Yeah.
Like
in the spot mirror.
Yep. And then all of a sudden she darts left, and I'm like, kaboom! Hit the safety truck.
Why does Richmond safety trucks always gum things up?
I don't know.
It's always an issue there.
I don't know.
Ambulance in the middle of the road, like whoa, guy.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here?
the entrance to pit road at Richmond's tricky.
That's exactly
it's super
what it is.
narrow.
For
Like,
sure.
I've
Yeah.
been down there in that pit stall. It's
Well, that's also where the opening where the emergency vehicles come out. Maybe
Yeah.
we need to look at that.
Yeah.
But question number 3: if I had a Men in Black pen, right, and zapped all your memories, but you only got to keep one, what do you keep?
all your racing memories.
Yep.
Brickyard.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Yep. Why?
Different. It's different than the 500. The 500 means more. It's more significant. but my family was at the Brickyard, and just having everybody in Victory Lane when kissing the bricks, the whole deal was, it's a special memory.
That is
So your
pretty
family wasn't in Daytona with you?
They weren't. No, it was during COVID. Yeah.
It kind of sucks. Like, it kind of sucks, like, when you win and you're like, we did it. You know, like, other than them being there.
Yeah.
Like, I can't explain that either.
Yeah.
But it does. It's just like when they're there, it's like, look at us. But when they're not there, you're like.
Oh, that's Nick Terry, our friend from MRO. That's kind of his story of when he transitioned from being a jackman at RCR, Harvick's car. They win the photo finish, him and Mark Martin. Nick Terry, our dear friend, was a jackman on that car. And they wake up, eat some cold eggs from the buffet, do the whole thing. And it's like, all right, going to Vegas next week. See it. And then he's like, maybe I don't feel like this is where the Lord's calling me to be. That's an interesting story. We might have to get him on one day to talk about that. But, Mike, great job yesterday. Sorry it didn't end up how you and Travis and that 71 group wanted. But keep shooting your shot, man. It's going to fall your way.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Good luck rest of the year, guys. That's Michael McDowell in the Nonsense Garage, guys. Boats and Woes coming up right after this. All right, guys, the new season of Full Speed on Netflix is right now, this week. Here's a sneak peek.
Deep breath here. The intensity of the playoffs gets raised significantly tonight.
People ask me, they're like, well, you won the championship last year. How do you top 24?
Oh my goodness.
There's just so much on the line. There's so many different storylines.
Going into this weekend, I feel cheated.
We have the tiebreaker over William, and then I realized nobody's celebrating.
We sent our boy to war on a donkey holding a wooden spoon.
If you make the wrong move, it all unravels.
We're in the playoffs. What's the plan now?
Wife about to give birth.
I'm starting to get terrified, I'm not gonna lie.
I don't feel bad for him.
10-4, man, are you okay?
This is life.
Some of the closest finishes in NASCAR history decided by that much.
Wins it by an eyelash.
The bloodbath back there, man.
Oh my goodness. As soon as you think you know what's gonna happen, boom.
Here we go.
Ready. Green, green, green.
Big week this week, guys. May 7th, NASCAR Full Speed on Netflix is back. Don't miss it. Whether it's Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, Daniel Suarez, the list goes on, and they give you a peek behind the curtain of what it takes to be a Cup driver. May 7th on Netflix, Full Speed. Don't miss it. Time for some pit road boats and woes, ladies and gentlemen. First up, what do we got?
First one, Denny misses pit road. What happens here?
You're both talking.
Well, they have code
Let's go.
names
Just give me one call. Cowboys. 5 green here.
It's terrible. Like, at that point in time, you just gotta
pit
and say what you're
or stay
doing.
out.
We got to commit now. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm with you. I think it's more favorable to come now. All right. That's why you're a crew chief and I am the driver. I will come to you.
So this stems from a little bit of being new, right? Even though we're, quarter of the way through the season, him and Chris Gale have not been in a lot of those situations before, right? You don't get in those situations every week. It's unique that you even have those pit, don't pit. So
why do
once
you
you're in them a
have
couple
code
times,
words? Why do you use code words when you're not in like the first 2 or 3 cars?
Right there, because they're thinking everybody's gonna, if they're gonna do 2, right? They don't want everybody to know they're gonna do 2. That point in time was a 2 or 4 type situation. So he was.
But instead, he took it as a stay out.
Well, he just got overloaded, right? And you just stay out. So, the next one, 20 team had issues all day. I saw them in the right side windows. Shout out Blake Houston. He wasn't there. They were having a baby, so they had to back up in. Oh. Was that a penalty? So yes, this impedes the 51 stop. You cannot roll your right front tire in. This is really challenging part of being a front changer, and it's something that I've argued with my pit coach quite a bit about. You have to control that right front tire, especially if someone's coming around you late. That's the most vulnerable time, because if you roll that tire and it's just barely on the other side of the white line and the rear changer hits it and falls down, that's on you. That's their box. So you got to keep that in your pit box. Like I said, Blake Houston wasn't there. They had a backup changing front tires. I think the backup, funny enough, is usually on the 51 car.
Hey.
So he rolled his tire into his normal team's pit stall.
So I got y'all. Don't worry. But then, big issue, the helmet hose came unhooked. Not from his helmet, but from the fan, which is behind the seat.
That's what they were working on.
It is damn near impossible to breathe the stagnant hot air in that thing. Carbon monoxide, all the stuff, because they have most of the teams have 2 squirrel fans or 1 real fan, like that's got some pressure that blows through a CO filter, and it came off not the helmet, the actual fan. So they had to go in there and get that thing done after a couple.
Say Sherwood in there. I figured it'd be Wesley Lake. Nope. Chris Sherwood up in there. Next one.
Getting his helmet hosed.
41 car spins on pit road. This is 71 car. Jackman, close call. What do we got here? Mm-hmm. Well, that. Okay, 2 tire stop.
What was he doing?
What happened there? Something happens with the jack here.
Oh, yeah. So they left the wrench in it.
Okay, so, yeah, they dropped it. That's what Michael was talking about earlier. They left the wrench in there.
Yep.
When you're doing an adjustment on a right side stop, you have to check off and make sure that if you need an adjustment, your car obviously needs some work done. So if you're calling that on a right side stop, you just got to make sure that he's pulling that wrench up before you drop it. A lot of the times, we get caught up in chasing these numbers and going as fast as you can, but you got to take the blinders off and see the wrench come out of the hole before you drop it. You end up in situations like that.
Mm-hmm. But ultimately, it bounced the ball back their way because they had to stay out in that long.
Those are the best kinds. That's a good miss, they call it.
Yeah, love it when a plan works out.
Did you have 41 car spinning on pit road? What happens here? Oh, the 24 comes out. That is how someone gets hurt. He ends up right in his pit box.
I can go back to my potential rule. Top 20 on the racetrack pit, 21st on back pit, second time by.
Yeah.
You got guys coming in there running 32nd, got guys on the lead lap that are taking right side tires, coming out of their box. It's not worth guys getting freaking monster truck, dude.
Well,
it's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not going to be part of it because you're going to see this stuff more. You're going to see this stuff more often, especially at Indy, especially at Texas.
It's
Gateway.
been here for a while. It's not new.
Well, it's newer and more likely with this next gen car. More cars on lead lap, more opportunity to take right side tires. We need to really look at this. And my rule is this: I would introduce top 20 on the racetrack, pit first time by. If you're 21st, sorry about your bad luck. Should have got there. You pit second time by.
Yep, dogs this week. It's a little bit of an underdog story. The 2 out of the 3 fastest stops were done by the 4 car. When we look at Racing Insights, they were the number 1 ranked pit crew on the day. Man, I'm learning it's hard to not be on a house car when you work at these big organizations. There's a lot of stuff that sometimes gets overlooked, and it's hard to make speed. For those guys to do that and have that much pace, put together that kind of a day, shout out. And one of the Jackman on that car is actually a Georgia Bulldog himself. So good job to them boys.
Do you have the list?
I don't have the list.
Okay.
We're moving on.
You know who you are.
Yep. Good job.
Congrats, you're a dog.
Couple shout outs. The veteran, 100-year-old veteran that sang national anthem. That was cool. Max Reeves wins at ARCA. Legacy with a 5th and an 8th. Stenhouse runs 6th. Trackhouse 2 cars in the top 10. So good for them. The night before they had the high limits race, Rico won that. He beat Larson. And Carson Ware, your teammate.
Won pro late model Cars Tour race at Ace. Congrats to him. Landon Lewis won late model stock race.
Rodney Childers was in victory lane with him.
He forgot how to do it.
He was there working with them. So check us out.
Larson wins, fills in for Zillage. I don't care if it's Kyle Larson, Jesus Christ, Bobby Allison. If you get hurt, you just don't like to see the guy that fills in win.
Did you see that though. You sent it in the group chat. Connor Zillich, NASCAR fan.
I know. Fox News literally put Connor Zillich is a NASCAR fan up.
Couple Penny for your thoughts real quick. Should Texas lose the grass? I don't know why we've seen this before. It was more prevalent in Xfinity and truck. Why did that happen?
That's the same take of like they should lose the bump.
Yeah,
just don't hit the bump. Don't hit the grass.
Don't drive in the grass.
Stay on the asphalt.
Oh man.
It's hard though. It's easy to sit there and watch from, your couch and be like, don't hit the grass. You can't see, especially in the trucks with the roofs are, 8 foot in the air. All you need if the guy in front of you is taking all of it and you take a little bit more, just like at a Chicago street race, the guy in front of you, you're hoping he leaves a couple inches and you take those. If he's taking it all, you hit the fence. You're having a bad day like Gio Ruggiero did.
Yeah. One more fun one. What do you guys, from Alex Picola, what do you guys drive daily? Any project cars in the work? Corey has a pink car he's working on.
I got a 1970 Plymouth Cuda, putting a Hellcat swap in it. It's only been in the process for about 4 years now, so hopefully that gets done.
I just got parts from. I got a 77 F100. Just put a Holly Sniper kit on. That's getting finished up, and I just drive a Toyota Tundra.
Yeah, I got a GMC 1500 or what do they call this? Yeah, 1500 CR.
That's it.
I like it.
That's our question. Nothing ground our gears this week. We're all good.
We are building a next gen car.
Ooh, there's gonna be a lot coming out about that.
There's gonna be a lot.
We'll save that for another day.
Mm-hmm.
Check us out on Spare Change this week.
Yep. Breaking down Kansas.
That's it. And always check out the YouTube page. Check everything out. Tubi, Sirius XM, YouTube. We're all good.
Yeah. Content coming out this week on YouTube. Stag and Pennies Performance YouTube page. Give that a subscribe. I had a Track Snacks with the Grand Marshal who Shea Wiggum. You might not know the name. You've seen him in a ton of movies. His latest one was American Primeval on Netflix. He's an absolute stud. He's Bridger in that episode. We rated a Roy Hutchins infield barbecue sandwich. So it's pretty good stuff. He's cool, man. It's cool we get to do that for you guys each and every week. And we got some more stuff coming up with John Chris. All the things on Instagram @_Stag and Pennies or wherever you find your podcasts on Tubi. Like it, thumbs up it, whatever. Tune in this week. Y'all have a great week. Talk to you soon. Bye.